Good morning, Internet, as my favourite motorcycle explorer would say on her videos. And just like Itchy Boots, I am exploring on two wheels and I am Dutch. But we're nowhere particularly exotic and I won't be going off-road. This won't be much like other motorcycle videos either. I shan't be popping any wheelies, there's no city traffic here to filter past, and I won't be smashing any car mirrors in after a close shave. And this isn't even a review of the Piaggio Medley scooter I'm using here, which is clearly outside of its comfort zone for school runs and grocery trips. Instead, let me just share the road with you, the road less travelled. And a good morning it really is. I'm not sure what time you're watching this, of course, but it is around 8 o'clock on Holgate Moor in Teesdale, North Yorkshire. It is Saturday, the 9th of September 2023, the hottest day recorded so far this year in England. I've set off from Darlington towards Manchester using the Calimoto app for guidance, as you can see on my handlebars. It's been a great route so far, but from here onwards it gets ridiculously beautiful. If you'll excuse the horizon going quite askew, it's because we're on the flanks of a hill called West Hoe, which is some 400 metres above sea level. Ahead of us, south, lies Marrickmore and Swaledale, Wensleydale beyond that. There's nothing much on Holgate pasture here apart from dales and sheep, but with a sky like this and a horizon like that, this is heaven. Mind you, did I say nothing much is here? Check the map and you'll see plenty of so-called shake holes. These are large pockmarks in the limestone landscape caused by water pooling and seeping into the spongy rock below. Combined with the remnants of lead mining in this area, it's definitely worth keeping your eyes open and your vehicle on the road. As you can see, the road comes quite uncomfortably close to some of these holes. The one on the left you just saw was a former lead mine. At this junction, you'll notice there's nothing pointing right, yet that is where you could find Holgate itself, the hamlet that this moor here is named after. The last resident of Holgate left in the 1990s, so now it's just a cluster of abandoned buildings being reclaimed by nature. It may still be on the map, but it's no longer on road signs. Eking out a living here, on the moors, clearly is not very easy. I'm stopping here at another spot marked on the map as a mine shaft. Perhaps a bell pit, perhaps from Roman times. Mining for lead in this area certainly goes back a bit, even though it doesn't look industrial here at all today. Continuing on, still on Moor Lane I believe, you may also have noticed some grouse spots earlier to the left of the road, and there's more of them around here. These are little pits, mostly in a line, where people dressed in tweeds seek to hide from view as they point their thundersticks at unsuspecting birds. Apparently, I should call these people hunters rather than feckless cowards, and they are critical to the local economy. Oops, grouse crossing. Because they employ some people to frighten birds out of bushes, and some others to serve them food and drink. It's probable that I benefit also from these chicken-hearted grouse pewers by using a road that's maintained for their Range Rovers, but generally I'm not a fan of upper-class twits connecting with nature through pointless murder. Let's not get started on biodiversity round here either. Despite its pockmarks of an industrial past and its carefully groomed present as bird-killing grounds, these dales are nonetheless rugged, wild and gorgeous. Let's head down the hill towards Racebeck. The word beck, by the way, for a small stream, or creek I suppose, reminds me of Dutch because we too call it a beek, or a beekje if it's smaller. Clearly the Yorkshire vernacular has a similar language at its root, perhaps from Angles or Saxons speaking a Proto-Germanic language, or perhaps it was the Danes because of course this country here was Danelaw a few hundred years back. Beck? Piaggio? Beckower. Well, this little beck has certainly cut deep into the hillside. It is quite literally gorgeous here. To the left, by the way, you may see something a bit less friendly. Signs saying, "Keep out." It doesn't add that trespassers will be shot or something like that, because of course this is a civilized country. Well, apart from the grouse pewers, I suppose, and the House of Commons, and King Charles's brother, and the existence of places such as Kent and Hull. But actually, trespassers may well get shot over that fence because it is a marked off danger area, a military training ground. So whereas on one side some toffs with blunderbusses try desperately to outwit pigeon-brained grouse, on the other side of this little beck and some fences they take it rather more seriously. Thankfully, I'm not Jeremy Clarkson trying to stay out of the range of snipers, but obviously when I'm on a scooter capable of just 60 miles per hour and incapable of roughing it through the grass, well, I am a realistic enough left-wing loony to be utterly unable to say a bad word about the army. A bit further down the same road, we're heading into the small village of Marsk. It has a smattering of inhabitants, and it's got a nice hall, and this is certainly a beautiful road, a bit steep, but coming into Marsk is gorgeous. Apart from that, I don't know much about the place, but we are still in Richmondshire, and I recently spoke of how nice it all looks, but also how it's affected by toffs. It's worth mentioning perhaps that Richmondshire has been a safe seat for the Conservative Party since 1910, the safest Conservative seat in the country, apparently. William Hague was the local MP from 1989 until his retirement in 2015, and of course we still remember him as a grandee within the party. Leader of the opposition in the early Blair years, so yeah, that was a shambles. Though compared to the current crop he seems a decent enough fellow. Articulate, somewhat passionate, and perhaps not completely in it just for his own delusions of grandeur. Which brings me to the current MP for Richmondshire, a chap by the name of Rishi Sunak, born and educated in Hampshire, which is quite far away from here, and then Oxford and California, and then working in London. I'm sure, despite that, he will know this area like the back of his hand, or like a backhander at least, that's what they're more used to. Now, of course I realise that I am wearing my politics on my sleeve here, but surely even the staunchest supporter of the raunchiest Tory grandee can recognise that seats as safe as this, for a Prime Minister that nobody has actually elected, are an insult to the very idea that we live in a democracy. It just so happens to work in their favour, and they just happen to work in their own favour, which is why it'll never change. Anyway, enough with the politics. We're coming into Reeth shortly, from the east, and what a view towards Harkerside Moor, the other side of Swaledale. I can thoroughly recommend riding here, but I shan't spoil it for you by showing the entire road. Google Maps can do that, and I'd be doing Reeth a disservice too, I can imagine. While some say it is a very peaceful village, an article in Yorkshire Life this January told a more harrowing tale. Yorkshire's most peaceful village is anything but for half the year, say locals. That was the headline. Ivana, who works in the gift shop in the centre of Reeth, told Yorkshire Life, "It's not peaceful in the summer when all the tourists come. Everyone comes and parks everywhere, and then they just walk off. When there's not much space, we get people parking on the green, but in the winter, like now, it is quiet and peaceful. I used to work in some of the pubs here, and have been living in the area for over 10 years now. The people are my favourite thing about Reeth. They're proper Yorkshire people here, but it can be quite empty in the winter, as people aren't in their holiday cottages and young people go elsewhere, I think. We tend to see more elderly people because I'm here every day, I don't always see the beauty, but we have tourists coming saying they'd like to live here because of how beautiful it is. Walkers love it. See, as usual, a newspaper header tells you all you need to know, and coming through here I can indeed see the problems. It is a quiet Saturday morning, but not here in Reeth, what with people walking about and parking their cars. Mayhem, absolute nightmare. I've never seen it this bad, even in Manchester, even in rush hour. What's a grim view and a somber note, but we'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Goodbye.